Here are my top 10 ideas for ESL elementary school classrooms. Number one is password. This is such a good vocabulary activity. So you can put words on pieces of paper and then divide the class into two teams. The first team sends up one person to sit in a chair facing their team, and you can stand behind them with the words. You can show the word on the piece of paper to the rest of the team, and they have to describe what that word is using only English. The person sitting in the chair has to guess the word. So you can do as many words as possible in 1 minute, or you can time how long it takes that student to get that one word. Then switch teams, and then you can play multiple rounds and then add up the scores at the end of the game. The second idea I have is charades or Pictionary. So these are fun classroom games if you want to review some vocabulary. Charades is acting and Pictionary is drawing. So people will act or draw out a word or phrase, and then their teammates have to guess what it is. The third idea I have for elementary school classrooms is puzzles. So I love to do like word searches, crossword puzzles, that kind of thing. It can be pretty tedious to make your own. Using like, I don't know what you'd use, a spreadsheet or something like that. So I always use discovery.com's puzzle maker. Just do a quick Google search and you can just input the words that you want to focus on, and then it will magically make a puzzle for you that you can just print off. It will save you a ton of time, and it's such a good tip. All right, the next idea I have for elementary school classrooms are board games. So if you're a language teacher, it's very easy to make your own board games based on whatever vocabulary or grammar that you're teaching. So for example, if you're teaching about advice, I would fill up my board with little problems that people might have. So for example, I'm so tired at school every day, my class is so boring, my parents make me come home too early, things like that. And then when a student lands on that square, they have to give some advice to that person or that problem. And then you can put some fun squares, like jump ahead 3 spaces, go back 5 spaces, switch spaces with the person on your right. And then eventually the person that makes it to the end of the board is the winner, and I always give out a little prize for that. All right, the next idea I have is to focus on spelling. So chain spelling is a fun activity, and I get everyone to stand up, and then I say a word. So for example, for very young elementary school learners, maybe we're focusing on colors. So I would say orange. The first student says the first letter, so O, and the next one R, the next student A, N, G, E, and you just kind of keep going around in a circle. If someone misses a letter, they sit down and are out of that round. And just to kind of keep things moving along fast, I don't want people taking forever to decide what letter they're going to choose. So I'll usually just hold up my fingers and I say, okay, like next, and then I just count on 1, 2, 3. Just very quickly to keep things moving. And you can play as many rounds as you want. All right, the next idea is show and tell. So this is just kind of a nice way for students to talk about things that they are interested in or that they care about. So they can bring a small object into school. If it's too expensive, or if it's like a pet, if it's too big, like a piano, something like that, they can bring a picture. So I like to assign maybe like 2 or 3 students each day. It can kind of get boring if we do all the students in the same day. So assign a couple of people, and then they can do like a little 30-second or a 1-minute presentation. And then I like to encourage follow-up questions. So I ask a couple of follow-up questions, or else I get the other students in the class to as well. All right, the next idea for elementary school classrooms is hot potato. So if you want to create some kind of fun and excitement in your class, this is it. So you can do the actual hot potato game, that plastic thing that makes like noises and does whatever when the time is up, or you can kind of make your own hot potato. So I bring a little stuffed animal or like a little ball, something soft that's not going to hurt people if it gets thrown, anything like that. And then you can look on YouTube for hot potato timer, and it will play music, but it like stops at random times. So the students try to quickly pass around that object, and then who's ever holding the object when the time goes off, they have to do something, a task of some kind. So in a language classroom, maybe I'd show a flashcard and students have to say what the word is. I could show a flashcard, they'd have to make a sentence, or they have to answer a little question, something like that. All right, the next idea I have for elementary school classrooms is flashcards. So flashcards are one of the most versatile things that you could possibly use in your classroom. And you can just, for very beginners, show the flashcard and students can say the word. For slightly higher level, they could add a sentence. So like instead of just cat, they could say it's a cat, or it's an apple, something like that. Higher level students, you could show a flashcard and they might have to make a question and then ask one of their classmates who has to answer. something like that. So I almost never go into an elementary school classroom without a set of flashcards. I don't know, for whatever reason, they're kind of just like my security blanket. Like I actually just feel like things are going to totally be okay in that class. If I have a bit of extra time, if I'm not quite sure what to do, as long as I have flashcards, I feel like I can kind of make something work with those. All right, the last two activities are picture prompt. Picture prompt is when I use this kind of for like a little lead-in or like a introduction to a lesson. Maybe if I'm teaching about, say, like food or something like that, I would maybe show a picture of people like eating a bunch of things, or maybe like at a restaurant, something like that. And then I would ask students, what do you see? And they'd say, oh, ice cream. And then I'd kind of, you can reframe it like the man is eating ice cream. Or they could say like, I see like chicken and hamburgers and hot dogs. And I say, oh, where are they? They're at a barbecue, something like that. So you can just kind of make some conversation and get students to kind of activate their prior knowledge about a topic by showing a picture related to the topic of the day. The final idea is story starters. So if you tell students, write a story, they often will feel kind of overwhelmed just because there isn't really enough information. There's not really enough like input, I guess, and students can kind of be overwhelmed by choices sometimes. So if I want students to write a story and we want to work on that, I would maybe have like 2 or 3 story starters, and then students can choose one story starter that sounds interesting to them. So how much of a story starter you give kind of depends on the level. For absolute beginners, I'd kind of give them a longer story starter, and they maybe just have to fill in 2 or 3 words. For slightly higher level students or higher level students, it could just be one sentence or even just the beginning of a sentence. Okay, so those are my favorite ideas for the elementary school classroom. If you like these ideas, please be sure to check out my book, 101 ESL Activities for Kids, and also please hit like, subscribe, and I'll catch you next time.